When I die and they lay me to rest, gonna go to the place that's the best. When they lay me down to die, going up to the spirit in the sky. Going up to the spirit in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. You know it's a must. You gotta have a friend in Jesus. So you know that when you die, he's gonna recommend you to the spirit in the sky. Or recommend you to the spirit in the sky. That's where you're gonna go when you die. When you die and they lay you to rest, you're gonna go to the place that's the best.
Got me tea. Shake your body. I've never sinned. I got a friend in Jesus. Have you?
So you know that when I die, he's gonna set me up with the spirit in the sky. Set me up with the spirit in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die.
Do you have Jesus in your life? Has he set you up with the spirit in the sky? Is that where you're going? Rocket Paul, Mark Caesar's in the house. So I was on a stream. I'll turn this down. No, I wasn't. I was in the side chat on SFT's channel, and I made a comment. We'll go through the comments in a minute. And Redefine Living showed me how to find Jesus, and it's in the humble apple. That's where you find Jesus, and he showed me the evidence. So we'll go through what the conversation went like. Are we ready? Let me just share my screen. Add to stream. Here we go. Right, so this was on SFT's channel, and it was Dr. Fake Kenthoven debunks indigenous retroviruses as evidence for evolution. So I put on, evolution is a scientific study. I don't think fake Dr. Kenthoven can debunk it, LOL. Evolution has got nothing to do with the question, is there a God? My lack of belief in a God has nothing to do with evolution. You could disprove evolution tomorrow, that wouldn't prove a God. I would like just one good piece of evidence for God. Redefined Living responded, your denial of God is only emotional. Your belief in the religion of evolution follows from that. I don't have a denial of God. Denial is asserting a true statement is not true. I lack belief in a God due to the lack of evidence or good evidence of a God. Evolution doesn't have the requirements to be called a religion. A religion, the belief in a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal God or gods. But you calling it that does show me you think belief in a religion is silly, or why did you call it that? Why are theists so desperate for atheists to have a religion? Is it just saying, look, you are also as silly as us. You have a religion as well. I don't follow evolution. I don't know that much about the subject. So even if it was a religion, it wouldn't be my religion. The evidence given for God is so poor, it's childish to believe it. I understand you was probably brainwashed as a child, and you will probably brainwash your own children into this belief. Or you want it so much to be true that you have convinced yourself that it is true. Redefine living. Well, it appears that your response is extremely emotional, especially at the end when you start to make accusations of brainwashing. I'm sure we will see by the end of this conversation that you are the one who is in fact brainwashed. Now let me point out how you fail by pretending that you can be neutral, and how you do in fact have a religion. God is defined as a necessary precondition of all the facts that you are acquainted with, including the physical world. In the God world, all facts stand in causal relation to God. To reject this is a denial of God. I understand that atheists like to be puffed up and proud to identify as an atheist. But when called out, they immediately resort to the definition of agnosticism, as you have done because you have no rational reasoning. We will see if your rejection of God, is more than... What's that? If your rejection of God, is more than emotional. Well, guess what? It does not matter. You can pretend that you did not explicitly deny God, but I will show you how you implicitly deny God at the very least. I'm going to present you with the true dichotomy. A, the God world, or not A, the not God world. I will be redundant. I don't know what he means by that. In the case that the God world exists, everything would be evidence of him, including an apple. So here's the question. I hope you'll directly answer. Do you view all facts, including an apple, as a fact that is derivational of God? My response. I couldn't care less about the atheist badge. Atheist, agnostic, non-religious. As long as you understand I don't believe in a God, the title you give it doesn't matter to me. God is the necessary precondition of all facts that we are acquainted with, including the physical world. My answer, only if you believe in a God. Do I view all facts, including an apple, as a fact that is divisional of God? No. I couldn't believe that. I would need to believe in a God. To believe that, I would need to believe in a God. All you have really said is you believe in a God and he's the creator of everything. Therefore, everything is evidence of God. Everything is evidence of God once you believe in a God. Is this circular reasoning? When you asserted that an apple is not evidence of God, then you deny God implicitly, if not explicitly. Either way, you have too denied God. It does not follow that because you are incredulous or not convinced that God does not exist, it does not follow that God only begins to be the final reference point of all facts only after you are convinced. Do you have a non-fallacious line of reasoning? I presented you with a true dichotomy. So it would follow that a prerequisite for one would be the prerequisite for both. It seems like your prerequisite for belief in a worldview is evidence. I am asking you how you came to the conclusion that God is false, by the same criteria that you would require me to show that he exists. We will now see if you fail by your own standards. I didn't assert that an apple is not evidence of God. What I said was, to agree with that statement, I would need to first believe in a God who created everything. I haven't come to the conclusion no gods exist. I just haven't been convinced a God does exist. Redefine living. Your attempts to defend your neutrality are failing continually. Stop forcing me to be redundant. I don't know what it means by that. Even when you appeal to uncertainty or incredulity, you will view an apple in one worldview or another. You will either confirm that an apple is in fact of God or not, regardless of your uncertainty. Do you positively confirm that an apple is a fact of God? No, I don't positively confirm an apple is a fact of God. If I believed in a God, then I would. To me, an apple is proof of apples. This is just circular reasoning. Redefine living. Then you have rejected God, as I have clearly shown. Now, how is it that God is false? What is your non-fallacious line of reasoning? Do you have one? Or is the rejection of God who loves you only emotional? How have I failed? I'm not neutral. If you ask me, do I believe a God exists? My answer would be no. A God could exist, but so far as I've, but not so far as I've been constant. What's that? A God could exist, but so far I've not been convinced. I don't have an argument against God. You can't prove something doesn't exist. You can only prove it does. Dodos are classified as extinct. We can't prove they no longer exist, only conclude they don't due to the lack of evidence. The longer time no evidence comes along that you do, the more we can conclude they don't exist. It's the same with God. Redefine living. I ask you for evidence that your not God world is actually by the same criteria that you would require me to show that it is actual. What is your non-fallacious line of reasoning that an apple is not evidence of God? Your incredulity is not a rational line of reasoning. You're the one making the claim a God exists. I don't believe that claim. Like I said, you don't prove something doesn't exist. You need to prove it does. If you can't, it's game, set, and match. Change God to a dodo. You believe dodos exist, and you're asking me to prove they don't. Unfortunately, I have already presented you with a true dichotomy and shown you how you are also making a claim that God does not exist. Now I've asked you for your rational explanation, and you are tap dancing. You should be embarrassed. I'm still waiting for an answer. Now, are you making another assertion that there is no proof of God? Wow. Do you want to fail to defend that statement? To be clear, is it your position that no God world is true because the God world has not been proven? Please answer. Also be clear again. Is it your position that belief held without evidence is irrational? Please answer. Lastly, your silly atheist cliche of suggesting that God is in the same category as a dodo is a category error. You're presented with another fallacious line of reasoning. A dodo is not in the same category as the ultimate creator God. Try to focus. Then he corrects his wording: fallacious, not fallacious. But I knew what it was saying. How is it fallacious? Your claim a God exists. I don't believe you. You are right. Comparing God to a dodo isn't in the same category. We at least have evidence that dodos did at least once exist. We don't have anything that comes even close to that with a God. The God world is not being proven, so I live as if no gods exist. The dodo world hasn't been proven, so I live as if no dodos exist. As you do, without proof, they don't. My world is absent of dodos and gods. This is again me. You haven't presented any evidence for this God you speak of, except apples, and that you really, really believe is true. Your God is a dodo. Redefine living. I directly answered your question, and you completely dodged mine. I will answer again. A dodo, a unicorn, a flying pixie, a diamond asteroids are all things that are not in the category of a worldview. All facts do not stand in casual relation with those things. On the other hand, all creator gods is a worldview, as I have redundantly shown you. You cannot be neutral towards God. Now I asked you two simple questions. I asked you if I understand you after I asked for your rational explanation. You said that your not God world was true because the God world has not been proven. I also asked you, because you have made evidence as your standard of criteria, if beliefs held without evidence are irrational. I'm waiting for you to directly answer. I have not dodged anything. I did answer your question. I don't believe in any gods. Your evidence for a god is an apple. I've also explained you can't prove something doesn't exist. You can only prove it does. I don't have anything to prove. You do. Sorry, but an apple just doesn't cut it. Redefine living. You are being entirely evasive. It is clear that your argument against God is nothing more than emotional. I have asked you two simple questions multiple times, and you failed to answer. Now you've represented the point I made about the apple. But that's fine. Let's go with that. You asserted that an apple is not evidence of God. Tell me how you determined that. How did you determine that an apple is not evidence of God with more than an argument from incredulity? I've already answered this, and I'm not being evasive. Before I can accept an apple is evidence of God, I would first have to believe in a God. I don't know what you find so difficult. You are using circular reasoning, or you are trying to play word games until I slip up and you get your got you. You ask me how I am determining an apple isn't evidence of a God. My answer is I didn't. I don't accept your claim that it is. I don't know how else to answer you. Redefine living. This is very simple to understand, and that is why I'm accusing you of being evasive. You have not answered my question, and you continue to dodge. Now, you are only repeating the same claim, but you have not provided any substantiation for that claim. I understand that you do not believe in an apple is evidence of God. I am simply asking you, how you determined that to be the case? It does not follow that because you are incredulous about God, that an apple is not evidence of God. An apple being evidence of God is independent from your mental state. You are presuppose that an apple is not evidence of God, and that is why you are demanding evidence. Because you are demanding evidence, what follows is evidence would be your standard of criteria. Because evidence is your standard of criteria, which is why you ask for evidence. I'm simply asking you if you can meet your own standard of criteria. Provide me the evidence that an apple is not evidence of God. You are continuing to be evasive, and you are continuing to fail by your own standards. I have been entirely clear with you. You would not be asking for evidence unless you have already predetermined that something is not evidence. I am asking you for a rational argument, and you have only given an emotional obfuscation. Tell me how it is that nothing is evidence of God. What's your argument for that? Then he goes on again. Let me be painstakingly clear. If I were to assert that a pocket watch is not evidence of a watchmaker, because I do not believe in watchmakers, I would be providing a fallacious line of reasoning. My own mental state has no bearing on whether or not a watch was made by a watchmaker. This is the same fallacious line of reasoning that you are using. Your mental state regarding God has no bearing on the reality of whether or not that apple stands in casual relation to God. I have asked you how you determined your position to be the case, and your response is that you are incredulous. Do you have a non-fallacious line of reasoning? And my answer, and I have answered you, your argument about a watch is stupid. We can demonstrate pocket watch exists and apples exist. I can show you a watch being made by a watchmaker. Job done. A tree grows, it produces blossom. Along comes a bee and lands on the blossom, and the bee passes nectar from one blossom to another. Then after some time, the petals fall off the fruit bud, and a fruit bud is left. Over more time, the bud grows bigger until you have an apple. Apples occur in nature. Watches don't. It's very simple. Demonstrate this God does all these things, then you'll have an argument. But at the moment, you don't. It's just a circular argument and a play on words. If this God you describe does exist, then yes, everything would be evidence of God. But first, you have to prove this God exists. Your argument is circular. Apples exist, therefore God exists. Because apples exist, this is the dumbest argument for God ever. And that was the end. I never got another reply back from that. Let me just go back to this. Remove that. How many people have we got on? Oh, Spooky Bedder, Mark Caesar, Dr. Mordical, Miss Dr. Jones, welcome. I don't know if you're all still there. That was painful. There's your evidence for God. An apple. I know what he was saying when he was saying I was taking the apple out of context. I wasn't. I know what he means by the apple. He means everything. He was just using an apple as an example. So I thought I'd do a quick stream because I haven't done one for ages, and I've just noticed, and I don't know how this has happened. I've now got, I think it's 199 people subscribed to my channel. I know it's not a lot, but I only had about 150, 170 about 3 or 4 months ago, and I've done nothing since then. So I thought I'd put this on. I always wanted to, well, I did want to respond. It was about 3 weeks ago when I spoke on the channel, on the comment stream of SFT's channel. And I thought at the time, I'm going to have to do a stream on this just for the sake of it. So this is me doing the stream. And it's just, this is the sort of arguments you get from Christians. They don't actually present an argument. They're trying to play word games and they're trying to back you into a corner. And that's all they're doing. They're not ever giving any evidence for God and asking us to give evidence against God. Like I used the example with a dodo. You cannot prove something doesn't exist. You automatically don't have a belief in something until you've been convinced that it's true. So, like I say, dodos are classified as extinct. We do know that dodos exist. Down in Scarborough, there's a national museum in Scarborough, and they've got a stuffed dodo there. They've got records of dodos. I don't know how true it is, but I believe they went extinct that because they didn't have any predators on the place where they lived, that when sailors arrived, basically they killed them for food. And they were so easy to get that because they didn't have a predator, that they could just go up to them and kill it. And before they realised what they'd done, they'd got rid of all the dodos, and that was it. They were classified as extinct. But could there be somewhere where there's a couple of dodos that have managed to escape and they're sat there, nobody's discovered them yet? Of course, that's a possibility. It's like with anything that goes extinct. We've had a few animals before that have gone extinct, and then they've suddenly found them again. And they're not extinct. Because like I say, you can't prove something doesn't exist. You can come to the conclusion that something doesn't exist due to the lack of evidence that they do, which is the same with the God. Every argument you ever get for God is just a God of the gaps argument. They never present any evidence whatsoever. They've got a Bible. Well, that's evidence of a Bible. It's evidence of a book. It's evidence that somebody wrote something down. It's not evidence that anything in that book is true. And science now, when you look at all the stupid stories in the Bible, science has debunked all them. We know there wasn't a world flood. Yes, I know that some people do believe there was a world flood, and they come up with all this shit. All they're doing is denying science. They're denying that many different parts of science. It's unbelievable. And let's say evolution. I don't know much about evolution. Not all. I know it's a change over long periods of time. Yeah, it's a scientific study, but they're trying to debunk a scientific study without any qualifications whatsoever, and they fail pitifully every single time they try to do it. So this is what the result to these type of arguments, where, like I say, where they try to back you into a silly corner that they try and get they got you. Like coming out, I still don't get his line of reasoning, really, to be honest, with what he was using. I know he was trying to push me into some sort of corner. That's all I could basically work out. Anyway, I don't know how long I've been on. I just thought I'm going to waffle on for bloody hours, mate. About half an hour. So anyway, I'll probably knock it on the head here. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope get a few more out, do a few more stuff, and see if I can get to 200. I'm at 199. See if this can get me to 200. Or probably lower. See which way it goes. Anyway, I'll catch you all later. Hope you all have a good week. I'm on my last of me 4 days off. I'm back at work again tomorrow for 4 days. So I'm back off again on Sunday. Sunday's my next day off, because I do these 4 days on, 4 days off now. Just enjoy it. It's quite good. Anyway, I'm going to knock it on the head. Hope to catch you all soon. Spooky Bedder, Dr. Jones, Mark Caesar. Catch you all later. Have a good one. I'll just end it here. I won't play any music-y stuff. I'll just... Bye.